सर्वस्तरदुर्गाणि सर्वो भद्राणि पश्यतु सर्वः सद्बुद्धिमानोतु सर्वः सर्वत्र नन्दतु.
Well, it's a dream come true to listen to Apollo and of course Eric, a great friend and somebody whom I admire and adore actually. He was the one whom, when jokingly we asked that why do you come and stay in Pondicherry, and he said, I believe that the energies to change Kalyug to Satyug are emanating from here. That is the reason I get attracted back to Pondicherry. Of course, they both have a large company worldwide and also is successful because of this humility that they are showing in such a small forum. So with this, I will introduce Eric Schaffer, transitioning from Kalyug actually to Satyug, the role of the supramental. Eric is the world's thought leader and global evangelist for mature and industrial strength user experience, operations with methodology, tools, standards, training, certification, and cost-effective staffing. He has been working with the UX field since 1977. Eric has authored 2 books that provide great insights for those who wish to bring the benefits of UX to their companies. He co-developed the HFI framework, an ISO-certified process for user-centered design. He was the primary developer of the HFI courses in UX. He also has the lead for design for the UX EnterpriseTM and wrote the core patent underlying that product. Eric has completed projects for more than 200 Fortune 500 companies, clients, providing UX design consulting and training. He has extensive experience in financial, insurance, manufacturing, government, healthcare, and telecommunication industries. In addition, Eric has brought an array of certification programs to the UX field, including the Certified Usability Analyst, the Advanced Certified User Experience Analyst, and the Specialized Certified Digital Persuasion Analyst, designations for UX practitioners as well as the Certified Practice in Usability and Certified Usable Design programs for organizations. I'm so proud to be your friend, Eric, and also I must add that other than so many other things that you do, he's a deep meditator, and that's why I know that he delves very deep inside him to find solutions. That is why the role of the supramental for in the process of transition from the Kalyug to the Satyug. Eric, welcome.
I came to Pondy maybe 15 years ago. Started to learn about Sri Aurobindo and the mother. And I found something a bit confusing. Normally I don't confuse so easily. So I've actually been meditating 2 hours at least a day for next month. It'll be 50 years. And as such, I have an experience and I can see in almost in every religion, every practice, where that fits in. It's the Vedic stuff. It's the Vedic stuff. I come from the Shankaracharya tradition, a little Patanjali. And normally I look and I go, okay, yeah, everything at least has samadhi at the base. Every practice has samadhi at the base. And one experiences samadhi for a while, and then that gets established. And one always has that infinity there. And after some time, the heart expands, and you get to see God. And God is not a a cartoon character. Although it's helpful to tell kids that. It's helpful to tell people that. But God exists. Well, you've heard the saying where there was a yogi, and he walked into the Shiva temple and he put his feet up on the lingam. And people were, what are you doing? You have your feet on Shiva. And he said, where can I put my feet that would not be on Shiva? So God is everywhere, and so it can't be one thing, because then that thing would be inside of the thing, it wouldn't make any sense. And it turns out God is in every thought. It's the manifestation, it's the finest in every thought. And then you do that for a while, then you go, oh, and everything is that. Right? The great sentence, I am that, thou art that, all this is that, and that alone is. And so there's an evolution that goes on, and if you read Sri Aurobindo, if you read the Mother, you will see beautiful descriptions of that. And you go, oh yeah, they get it. But then there's talking about this supramental thing, and I'm like, what the heck? And I went to my dear friends, like, what's the supramental? And I leave going, I don't know. And I spent years wondering what this supramental is. And I think, personally, I do now know what it is. What's the supramental that's coming down? What it is a transition in the way people are going to be, the next generation human. And we're busy doing that. You might have noticed that the world is a little turbulent right now. And that's because there's an enormous shift going on. That shift is partly driven by the yogis around the world who enliven being and are moving the frequency of this earth up. And that shakes out darkness. But then what's the supramental? When you evolve, a bunch of things happen. There's kind of a long list, and you'll read about it pretty much everywhere. And the reason you have literature, the reason you have so many writings, spiritual writings, is mostly to let you know you're not going crazy. And so when I look at that evolution and what happens and what it's like to have spiritual capabilities, you realize people are getting that from technology. When you walk in the room, I can look at you and tell you if you're sick or if you're sad. At a superficial level, I don't have to do anything, I just look at it. And we have Facebook. And so pretty soon I'll look at somebody and there'll be facial recognition and I have your basic specs. And if I look deeply at you, which you do not want to do without permission, and even then you don't really want to do because you'll see things you don't easily unsee. But if you do that, you learn all about who somebody is. And we have the ability to trace your social networking. Remember, anything you put on the internet will be there forever. And now I know all the stuff you said in your history and I can, and as an enlightened person, you can follow somebody's connections. And yeah, sometimes back lifetimes, but you can see who they're connected to through Facebook and social networking and all of that. When you're enlightened, you can tell when things are okay. There's a sound that goes on. If I'm in a room like this, which is a good space, you can hear the sound. And people write about it, angels singing. But there's this sound. I also know that everything's okay because my mobile phone is not going up with the alarms and the warnings and all the things that... So I know that my Ring alarm and my house in the US is okay and nobody's banging into it because it's got alarm system. If you're enlightened, you have access to the Akashic records. You can go back and look at what was there. And now you have YouTube and Google. You can go and look up stuff. And we have the ability to create. If you want to create, as an enlightened person, you'll use Ritambhara Pragya. You can go to the place of all-knowing and ask a question. And if you know enough to ask the precise question, and you know enough to see the answer to it and understand what the answer means, you can get an answer. And we have an AI thing where you can go in and say, give me a new work of art. I want, a man sitting on a pier with the moon, and it'll kick that out. So what is the supramental? The supramental is the human being evolving to another level, based not on 40,000 hours of meditating, which is a lot to ask, but based on this technology. And our job in the design space is to craft the new way of being. That's our job right now, craft the new way of being. And if we do it wrong, and I'm so glad Apollo will handle this so I don't have to worry about it, but if we do it wrong, we can create a dystopian nightmare. We can create a panopticon, which is a prison, where everybody's looking at everybody else and the jailer's in the middle watching everybody. We can live like that. Or we can live the life of an enlightened person. The enlightened person that's connected. I mean, an enlightened person, I can reach out anytime and check on Lalit. Sometimes it worries me. But the enlightened person can Skype all around the world. Our perspective, even from the view of technology, is expanding to the ultimate. We know that everything is one because we have quantum entanglement. And the electrons sync up even if they're too far apart to possibly do that. And now with the Webb Deep Field Telescope, we know that that infinity we're in is way more than we dreamed. The James Webb Telescope, it takes a little tiny spot in the sky. Anyone, a little tiny spot, and it looks deep into that spot. And what you find in that spot is thousands and thousands of galaxies. So that infinity that we know we're a part of reaches out further than we'd imagined. It's like we are just one, the whole world is one electron in Apollo's cup of coffee. It's forever. So that's all happening. The other thing that's special about the work of Sri Aurobindo and the Mother is that we're crafting a new lifestyle. We will be differently. But can we live in this world of climate change? Can we survive? What does it mean to be successful? There was a wonderful guy here, Promise Johar. He's a very good friend. Call him Kakida. And Kakida didn't write a bunch of stuff. And he didn't give a lot of speeches. But when you saw how he lived, that was an interesting model where he built community, mentoring relationships, supported the things going on. And when I look at the ashram, and I look at Auroville, very different, but both beacons in their own way of how the world will have to live in the future to be successful, to allow us to manifest. So I'm very grateful for this space that is leading in bringing out this knowledge, in crafting the way we will be. And it's a privilege to be a little part of that and to see that unfolding. Yeah, there's darkness. But that darkness is the process of change. When I started meditating, they told me a bunch of lies. I'm not really mad about it, but they told us a bunch of lies. That if you meditated, you could do anything and be. It's not true. And it's a blessing, it's not true. Oh, you meditate and you'll be pure sattva. If you're pure sattva, you don't exist. If it's all good, if creation was all good, you would have no Leela, you would have no movie. Have you ever seen a movie which was just white light? That's being, that's bliss, but it's not interesting. So it's a gift that the yogi doesn't get the capability to just do anything they want. If you're in a plane and you see the yogi walk in who's never had any training, get off the plane. Because being enlightened doesn't let you fly a plane. Won't do it. It gives you capabilities, just like the supramental will give everyone capabilities. But it's not an infinite thing. And even the enlightened person who might give you advice, gives you advice from their experience, their society, their concepts. Because thank goodness we don't become all the same. And we don't become a bunch of zombies, which is kind of cool. Anyway, so there's a job to do. I know that many people in your generation are going like, yeah, well, what are we supposed to do? Here we are at the end of the universe. And yeah, there may be a mass extinction. But there is a way of being and coming out the other side of that, where we will craft this next humanity that Sri Aurobindo saw all the way back then. I'll take any questions, if any.
I have this. It's a long question, but we are talking about AI being the next step of evolution and all of that. And I've always had this thing about the choices and the decision making we have to do as individuals, especially as designers, when it comes to handling technology. So, like recently, I'm sure you're aware that there was a program of Google, an AI program, which the creator interacted with the program, and the program kind of expressed its feelings, rather, I would say, about how it feels to be shut down and how it feels that it's money used and not, dealt with in the proper way. And that kind of surprised and shocked me to think that, we've reached a point where we are able to interact with the technology to understand its feelings, I would say. And say, for example, this guy recently that I've been following that story, that he was sent out of his job on a long absence, and that kind of made me question the stand of where we are in making choices and how we make decisions based on, the technology is presented to us, and let's say that person is given the very hard decision of wanting to shut down that program. How do you think, it would transpire in the scope of things?
Do you know what a Jakarta loom is? A Jakarta loom? It's a loom that's used here to make rugs, and it has a punch card that goes through it. And as you move the punch card down, it makes a pattern in the rug. Does that have feelings? Neither does the AI. What it is it's learning to talk about feelings. It's modeling feelings. They're not sentient. I'm not sure when or if they'll be sentient. And it is right now one of the key things of the human being to have that sentience, have that being, and have wisdom. Wisdom there meaning an understanding of the world. So AI can easily be taught to say, I'm sad when I'm shut down, but that's anthropomorphic. It's copying the words of a human. It's not a real feeling per se, not the way we have it. It doesn't, that computer has no amygdala. It has no limbic system. Also, when we talk about the supramental and we talk about that transformation, it is by no means just AI. Human beings are wrapped in a set of augmentations that are just starting. In your lifetime, you'll probably become transhuman. That doesn't mean sexuality changing. Transhuman means that more than 50% of your body is technology. AI augments the way we make decisions. We have high capacity connections that augment the way we communicate. We have digital storage capabilities of big data and incredibly cheap data. I actually remember, I worked at Bell Labs, and at Bell Labs I remember seeing a 5 megabyte hard drive that was about this big and about this high. 5 megabytes. Now you can get a terabyte. Well, you can get, what, 2 terabytes in Lala's phone. So he's happy. There's VR and the metaverse. There's so many of these technologies, Internet of Things, all of that is augmenting what a human can experience. How does that fit together? We had one staff member, creative director, and my son, who's in the field, he shared, both of them are, he shared a video envisioning life in the metaverse. and you know, you're walking in a augmented reality environment and shopping and all that. And what Mamta said was, do we really want to live our life in a casino? Because the metaverse was like a casino. 2 points for this, you can get this much of it. It's like, that's a dystopian future. Could be. But I believe, and I think that the wisdom of Sri Aurobindo says that we'll get beyond that. And we'll use that technology to give us another level of experience, another level of being.
I have a question. We obviously, when we look at the works of Sri Aurobindo, he does talk about one like unified consciousness and one unified intelligence. So it's a question that actually bothers me, and I obviously don't have an answer to this, so just putting it out to you. That when we look at organic and inorganic intelligence, like organic works, human, animal, and then we look at inorganic intelligence, like artificial intelligence, we see it as a duality. So we see them as two completely different entities, and artificial intelligence can never be like human intelligence. Yet there is this other thing where we're looking at a centralized intelligence or a centralized consciousness. So I'm not able to kind of grapple with this.
I'm just talking about a different thing. Okay. So that unified thing is everything. So you're experiencing an illusion. Did you ever see Matrix? Yeah, it's kind of like that. So you're experiencing an illusion that you're separate. But all this is just God playing hide and seek with herself. And so your consciousness is just a wave on that ocean. And that ocean is the fullness. And the AI is also a wave on the ocean. And the beautiful flowers are a wave on the ocean. The special thing about human beings, and we don't know that we're the only ones who can do this, is we can experience that being. We can understand, not just at a I read a book level, because that's actually not that interesting. And by the way, reading the book won't help. But when you understand, let's not understand, when you live that you are that being, that's kind of the thing he's talking about. And by the way, it's just, it'll help, it's kind of a secret, but so it's very dangerous to walk around going, I am the infinite, because you'll get hit by an auto wreck. And if you truly have that established, you will have that during sleep. So you will never sleep. It'll always be there. Everyone knows everything? That's good. We're done. Thank you.
Eric, anybody wants to ask anything else?
It was such a different take than hers, and it just completely shifted looking at things. So thank you for putting this kind of two aspects call it the same thing together.
We get along anyway.
Say that again.
We get along anyway.
You know, the best programs that I've done in my life, see no claps. You're absolutely awestruck and you try to live in that and try to understand what has come to you. It's with a lot of puzzles and secrets. And Eric, thank you so much for sharing these lovely moments. You not only spoke, but you also spoke without speaking. Thank you so much.